Thank you for joining us here at One Kingdom Worldwide as we share the greatest love story ever told in support of the God-led life. Welcome to Section 1, Essential Scriptural Context that has been lost down through the ages. As we ended yesterday, we left right in the middle as we were talking about choices that God gives us to make in our creative collaboration with Him. Sometimes God gives us a choice to make, and He doesn't make it clear that one or the other is the way to go. In fact, that creatively, collaborating with Him, participating with Him, He's going to let us choose, and whatever we choose is good by Him. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday. And Jesus says, you feed them. Huh? See, even when it's God's will and He's telling us what, we still are collaborating. We still get to creatively collaborate. You want us to feed them? You want us to take like $1 gazillion and go into town and buy a bunch of food? He said, no. How much do you have here? Well, we've got some fish, we got some bread. Bring it to me. And so even in the moment that they don't know what's going on, they're obedient and collaborating. They shared in their creativity the only way they knew how. I guess we got to take the money we have and go into the town, buy a bunch of food for everybody. And he said, no, we can feed them in another way. In your life, God wants you to be creative. He wants you to be participating with Him, to do His will. And He wants you to collaborate with Him in that creativity. So when you can see that God is giving you something that needs to be done, just know He wants to hear from you about the options that you have, your creative options. And sometimes they're not very creative, like in that chapter with Mark 6. You know, sometimes in my life, and I know other folks as well, I've had a left turn or a right turn, but I couldn't keep going straight. I had come to a T intersection and I had to make a turn. And as I prayed about it and asked God, do I turn right or do I turn left? Over a period of time, because God's always preparing us for these kinds of big decisions, it wasn't a sudden thing where today I find myself at the end of the road and I got to decide. No, He had helped me to see the options. God, if I turn left, it looks like this to me. If I turn right, it looks like that to me. I can see that maybe either one of those could be right in your will. What would you have me do? And God said, take your pick. You can go either way. My grace for you is sufficient. My will for you will adjust. I want you to choose. Really? See, we're not robots. We are creatively participating in the will of the Father, our hearts after His. So, we overcome the temptations and desires of the flesh. Our sacrifice, nothing compared to Jesus' sacrifice on that cross and the whippings and the bleeding and the pain that He suffered in advance of it. So, what's the final? That they are becoming mature and effective laborers more and more. The 12, the 70, and the 500. You see, as you live this way, as you desire these, as you eliminate this, as you avoid these people, remember, it's not just the Democrats and the Republicans, but back in the day, it was the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And in this day, we have religions that we should run from. We have pastors that we should run from. But there's many well-intentioned pastors open to living a life pleasing to God in wisdom. How will you know whether they are or they are not? Can you trust them? Can you reliably trust them? Do you have faith that you can reliably trust them? Is there an intimacy and a transparency that's coming out and a depth of love and mutual support? If you can see the relationship developing and building, you have a Talmid who's trying. And so when you look at that person and you say, well, for the most part, they have this stuff down. Their heart is after the Father. What will start to happen is what happened with Jesus. 12 glommed onto him when he invited them in. They came back to him and told him of their success with the people with whom they spoke. So the 12 became the 70. By that time, maybe had become the 500. When we live this way, it's just a natural occurrence that we are producing fruit, and it's a natural occurrence that we become one of the 12, the 70, and the 500. And so in my little congregation, I need to be like Jesus. And as we said before, the people that I'm with, we all need to be able to call each other on our attitudes. We all need to help each other become more and more like Jesus as time goes by. And as we're doing this, it'll attract more people. And as we're out, we'll be able to come back and describe, wow, you will never believe what happened with me at work today. You'll never believe what happened with me in the store on Thursday. Testimonies abound. And somebody said that they'd like to come join our little group. So our small groups need to be places where Talmudim are helping each other. But if you don't know what it means to be a Talmudim, then our small groups are not going to produce this. And what our small groups are going to have is a bunch of people that have been trained by the world. And they're just not capable of training anybody else. And so it starts with the church. Church, pastor, leaders, become Talmudim. My life book is available to you free. There's not the only way, but this is a marvelous way that your people in the congregation will end up enjoying. These are all free. I don't make a nickel off of this stuff. It costs me money. This is a way for pastors and leaders, church leaders, elders, to come together to talk about living this way. And at the onekingdomworldwide.org website, and also at the YouTube channel, is a series of videos, 40 videos in a playlist that will help you do this in small groups. But first, pastor, leaders, you've got to do it with yourselves, as Jesus did it with the 12, so that you and your 10, 5, 6, 8, 12, whatever it might be in leadership, are ready to lead small groups, are ready to help people understand. This is not that complicated. It's not that difficult to understand. Oh yeah, it's difficult to do. Living amongst a bunch of rejectors, people that are used to living by the ways of the world. Difficult to do, but simple to understand. Everything I have is free. All of the materials at the website's free. As we move on, we'll talk more about what church can be and what church was back in the days of the synagogue with Jesus, and why it was so successful that he only worked with 12, that became 70, that became 500, that then covered the earth. See you next time.